All right, we're all being recorded. Let's get going.
So yeah, this is maybe I guess our fourth town hall already. Those of you who are new, I think, are familiar with the town hall, the deal, whatever it is. But I thought we could maybe go around and if you're new, maybe give an introduction, and then even if you're not, maybe just a quick check-in of like how things are going, and if you want to throw something up on the list of discussion points as we go. And so maybe I'll throw it to Emery, and then Emery, after you go, you can throw it to somebody else if you like.
Wait,
You want
what
me
are
to
we
pick
doing?
just to throw up any discussion points. Like I think you wanted to talk about action items, for example, like if you have a question or something, because then we can go around what's on
thing
everybody.
I'm logged out of the usual Skiff account, and I now made a new account, which means I don't have access to action items. But the thing that I've been trying to get my head around for Republic for the past 2 weeks was looking at refi, like regenerative finance, and to see how we could utilize that for Republic's mission. And I have some ideas floating around, but like I actually need quite a lot of help with like research and figuring a few things out. But that's what I want to throw around.
Okay, cool. And how about Jenny, why don't we go to you next, if you don't mind?
I am Keith's wifey, and I do SaaS sales. Basically, I work at Smartsheet, and but I do have a bit of a background working in DAOs. I worked with Eric Mack with DAOist, which is now called something else, and did a few other things. And I'm very happy to be here. I just am excited to listen and learn more.
Okay, cool. Anything you want to learn about specifically today, or talk about, or hear us talk about?
The DeFi thing sounds interesting to me. I don't know the context of that as much, but I'm interested in hearing more.
Okay, cool. Phil, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Hi again, I'm Phil. I guess you all know me in-house, a data dignity advocate, geek, nerd, doing some strategy with Keith. Action points, I'm trying to open the document from last week on Skiff, but I'm having a hard time connecting to Skiff, so I don't know if they have issues, probably. So quickly, overview of what we covered last week. For those who weren't around, we kind of discussed who wanted to do what. So Crystal and Corey both mentioned that they were open to doing editing. So they're both pretty busy, but they're down with doing editing. Corey is kind of the lead for the environmental like narrative around Republic. So that's what he's focused on. And then I said, yeah, I do more writing, which is something I want to do. So turn those rants on Discord into blog posts. And then I can't remember what else we discussed as action points. Maybe Keith, you could help me with that point.
I think you got it all. But we can probably dig into that later. John, what do you were here last time, weren't you?
Yeah, about halfway through I jumped in. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, man. Happy to still be in Web3, no matter what the market does. I am in it for the tech, literally in it for the tech. I don't care what the price does. I don't even know what the price is of a lot of this stuff is. So yeah, I'm so in it for the tech right now. I've realized that there's, as a layperson, coming into, the crypto space, I've started learning a bunch on LinkedIn Learning and stuff about Amazon Web Services, about data science course, and taking data science courses, trying to really immerse myself in that type of stuff so I can better understand these white papers and what the hell you guys are talking about half the time. So yeah, I found that it's really important to educate yourself on different web service platforms, the cloud network, and data science applications if you're going to understand anything that's going on in this space. So truly understand it beyond just speculation.
Oh, and I just want to say that you do such a great job of understanding it and breaking it down for the layman like myself. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I just envision myself on the top of just like some half pipe trying to explain to somebody what in the hell I do with my time. And they're just kind of like, all right, man, shut up and skate.
And John, was there anything that percolated from last week to now that you think would be good to talk about?
Well, you dubbed me the metaphor czar. So we came up with a bunch of good metaphors, from everything as far as, what Philip, I believe, had brought up about the minimum wage and child labor laws from the 30s as being in data unions now, as the formation of original unions. And then I thought that was a good one. And then I also brought up a metaphor about working instead of completely against the system and withdrawing completely out of to guard your privacy, rather than to work with the system and use the system against itself in the kind of the form of Aikido or a bendable tree, rather than a stiff, rigid tree, being blown over in the wind. So, yeah. And then about AI and CAPTCHAs and how CAPTCHAs gather training data. And basically that training data feeds the AI engine. So your actions is proof of work, even if it's on a proof of stake blockchain. And those actions are essentially food for AI. You are food for the AI monster that is being birthed.
Hear, hear. Yeah, we'll get to that later more. Spencer, do you want to chime in real quick? Thanks for coming, by the way.
Sure, yeah. So I know Keith from Journo DAO, and I know a little bit about Republic, and I know you guys were on the Sapien Roundtable with us, and I see you're also on the new Crypto Sapiens DeSci session coming up. So just here to learn a little more about what Republic is, and just glean some more of the goings on.
Cool. Any specific question about Republic that's not obvious to you that you think we could cover?
If anything occurs to me, I can chime up or else post it in the chat, but nothing specific right now. No.
All right, cool, thanks. And Eric, you want to go? I'm glad you popped into the end of that space, because I feel like I got blinders on of like too many connections and like what role I'm supposed to be playing on what panel. When it was like, but I feel like I could have been more there for Journo DAO than Republic.
Yeah, that was super fascinating. I'm glad to pop in there, and I was having a side chat about that space while it was going on that you'll probably find eventually. But it was very insightful, and I did want to say that over the course of my career, I've met three people who three very unassuming, wonderful people who later on in getting to know them, they revealed to me that they used to work for the CIA. And I just want to say that of all the people on this call, John really fits the profile. So just I see you, John. I guess for the call, I'd be kind of interested to, if there's time, dig in more about the Reside DeFi thing, and I'd be interested for like approaching these protocols and DAOs, like I'd be interested to hear, like maybe we go through like a couple of use cases of, like what does a relationship between, Republic's users and these DeFi, DeSci and ReFi outfits look like.
Cool. All right, Crystal.
Hey everyone, I'm Crystal from JournoDAO. Just kind of wandered in to listen again. I don't really have anything to add to the agenda. I was going to, yesterday on our spaces, Keith, I was going to use this article, and I think you retweeted it. I was going to use that as the lead in to intro to Republic, but we never got there. But it was the thing about when Apple put the privacy toggle on the phone, how it essentially tanked Facebook's revenue model. I just think that's fascinating. And then today, Facebook announced that they're no longer going to do the news initiatives, the grants that they had out for the news. I think it's 100 million, maybe, but they just cut that as well. So I just thought that was fascinating. And I'm also eating lunch, so I'm going to turn the camera off for a while so you don't have to watch that.
Yeah, that would. And then somebody else, I don't think I retweeted it, but I guess there was a report from inside the Facebook all hands where somebody was complaining about their meta days being cut, or asked if that was going to be cut as well. So they no longer got 4-day weekends like during this summer.
Yeah, didn't they report some like $3 billion loss in their metaverse ventures or something? Insane. I think that's what I just read.
Yeah, I always thought I would like cheer the day when this happens, but like that, as you know, I've kind of highlighted in the blog post or whatever, when it's a platform and then all these people build on top of it, it's like to root for its demise is to also like root for all these people to like suffer. So it's like we got to build a lifeboat first and get everybody off before we can torch it. But yeah, awesome. Glad to have you all here. So Emery, I think we should just dive right into your questions about refi and what we should do next as a DAO regarding that.
Yes.
All right, I think so. For some background, we were using Skiff. It's like a Google Docs replacement, and I think they changed from .org to .com like this morning or recently, and so that I think kicked all of us out. I was able to go to skiff.com and re-sign in again and find stuff, but yeah, I was kicked out from everything this morning. But yeah, I can pull up anything there that you.
Yeah, I opened the document, but it's in my private Skiff. Can I still share that? Because I couldn't log into my old account because I don't know how I opened that one.
Yeah, let me make sure I got screen sharing on. Or I think Phil, you're the host of this one.
Yeah, I'll make you co-host. Trying to sign in again.
I'll send you the link on Discord, and you can share that.
Keith, you're now co-host and have more powers.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna enable sharing the screen, but it looks like you can, Emery.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was thinking in terms of the business model of what this change would entail. And I was thinking that if we shift towards like regenerative finance, and if we try to target people that are passionate about sustainability, I was trying to think and ideate about what the value would be that the Republic app would deliver to them. Because at the current state, the Republic app is a way to enable a bunch of different sensors to manage or like track your data or like what you're doing. But then I was thinking about the way Demo talks about their app. So Demo, they say that the incentivization mechanism of the data union, that's just the least interesting thing for them. They're trying to build an app that's so useful for their audience, like car drivers, so that people just sign up and use the app because they like the app. And then anything that has to do with incentivization through data sales is then just an added bonus. And I like that aspect, which means that they're really looking at solving problems or adding value or benefits to the app itself. And I took that thought and I was like, okay, if we're changing to a target audience that's passionate about sustainability, how can we apply that? How can we add value to these people? So I was thinking, if we do change to refi, like, I think, in my opinion, that there will be a new target audience. And then we need to identify, okay, what are those people's values, their needs, desires, problems, pains. And then we need, a different type of Republic app that's the product, which then fits this audience. And then first we need to make sure that the organizational values, that they're aligned with the new target audience. And I think that's mostly there, but like still a very open discussion and talk. And then two other things is that to identify what benefits the app could deliver to these people and what solutions we could be providing. And that has to do with how deep and narrow we want to go with the targeting of the audience. So we could go to as broad as being like, oh, we target everyone that's into sustainability, but then that's like millions of people and really broad. And then your product needs to be able to match that. Or we could start from a very small niche, which is really focused into Web3 and refi. And then we would have, a smaller group of people that we target, but then we could have, we could run minimum viable products, test out our ideas or hypothesis, and then try to get some feedback on what does give them value in the app and what doesn't. And there's a whole bunch of things we could be doing with the app. But yeah, it depends on how we want to set the focus on the target audience. Because if you are focusing on the Web3 user, it's going to be a very different app than if you're focusing on the everyday user. And then so there's a bunch of problems or like questions that are floating around. Like what problems could we solve with an app? Should it stay an app? Should it be a website or whatever, a different medium? What is the value add to these communities? And I was also thinking about funding. I was thinking about, we need to be researching about what grants are available in refi, what protocols or apps we could be implementing in Republic so that we could be like applicable for these. So that's one aspect that we need to research. Yeah, and then I think if we focus on this target audience, it might make sense to more focus on or to think about what data these people could be creating with the app and for whom that data would be valuable. So for example, there's an app called Sweatcoin, which is you download it, you move like every day, you go to the fridge, you go to the bathroom, you go to the bedroom, right? You do steps by holding your phone. And that just gives you coins, so like sweat coins, and then you can redeem those coins for products or services or discounted things. And I find that interesting. And I think it could be copycatting something similar, but doesn't have to be that way. It's just one of the ideas I had floating around. So you would install Republic, basically, you would earn reward points, which are not on-chain tokens. They're just points off-chain, just for now. and then you could redeem them for product or discount services, whatever. Like, it's possible. It's just to get there is a long road, because yeah, so the idea I'm stealing it from is from a company that's been running since 2011 or something. So it started somewhere as an idea, and then the business model probably changed in a completely different direction. But like, the essence of them was, we want to get people moving. So that's where the product could go, but it could go also in a completely other direction, like 360. We could have like a map where people add restaurants that are like, you know, vegetarian, like vegan, and like better for the environment because they don't consume animal products, and like reward them if they add any information on that app or something. Like, it could go anywhere really, and I don't know what to do, and I think it depends on the target audience that we would go after, and like, even the question is, do we want to do it? So there's a whole bunch of questions and things that.
Yeah, let me jump in there, because I think I might be able
Please.
to set the stage a little bit. So the way I've been thinking about this is these specific use cases like Sweatcoin or whatever, they would be kind of applications within like the Republic framework or ecosystem. And so Republic, I think, should be about the interoperability of all these things, because the problem is, like, we're seeing, and I put a couple things in the chat that just give you an idea of like how fractured everything's going to be, especially in the refi space, and how I'm thinking about it. So I don't know about you all, but what I would like is just one place where I could see all these things that I could contribute data to, and then see what data I have that can go to these things, right? And if there's some like data union or data use case that I don't have the right data for, I'd like to see the delta of that. Like, oh, I could join this data union that I really like because I like their mission, but I don't have the right device. And so this is like the device you need, and this is how you get started. And so I view Republic as more like, you come into Republic and then you see all these cool things. You see like TerraQuest, you see Sweatcoin, you see all this stuff. And if you already used those apps, like if you're using Sweatcoin, then you can pull that into the data that you're generating for Sweatcoin. You can pull that into Republic and then see who else wants to use that. Like, how else can I use that data for other people, not just Sweatcoin, right? Like, it's pulling all the data into you and then showing you the options to share it out. Whereas like right now, the ecosystem seems to be going towards like, oh, I have to get Demo's app and I have to get Demo's hardware for the demo thing, and then that's like one thing, and then I need to go over here and get Sweatcoin for this one. But like, what's the best steps app? I don't know. I have to like download them all and try them, where it's like, really, I should just be able to like walk around and do my thing and then figure out who, like, all the people that's valuable for, rather than like trying to have to go and find these things. And so I don't really want Republic to be like another thing that you have to go find, but I want it to be the thing that helps you collect all the data that's meaningful to anyone, anywhere, and then show you who can use that, if that makes sense. Sorry, Phil, you have your hand up.
Yeah, well, just a quick question, because in some way, the current version of Republic now, we are one of those like data unions where like, oh, we're like the location and health kit and phone sensor app. So how would you see us evolve in that context where we're showcasing like all the options? Would you still like Republic to focus on those specific types of data?
So those were kind of like bootstrapped like apps for Republic, right? Like I didn't have anybody to work with offhand. So it's like, there's the location app, there's the mobile sensors app, there's the health kit app. But I think the mission in my mind is to provide the tools to let like in the chat there, I put in like TerraQuest or any of these like bike riding apps. You know, there's a Republic integration with it. So like all you need to know as a user is that if you have Republic, that gets everything that your devices are generating, and then it shows you options of where to share it, and it's less about the specific types of data. And so what I meant by like focusing on refi was like we need early partners. Like what are those first apps that people can share and integrate with? And I'm saying like I think refi is like a great partnership area where we can be like, hey, we will build out some of your like licensing data collection infrastructure for you, because it'll be part of like our open source mission anyway. And then all you have to do is kind of partner with us to work out the bugs, and then you'll be in like the, you know, in the Republic like app store screen or whatever, where people can just, if they have the right data for your use case, then they can, you know, very easily with like a few taps start contributing that data to your mission, your app, your cause, your market, whatever it is. So Emery, I think about 90% of what you showed is like still super relevant, and it's making me think that maybe there should be like guilds or sub DAOs based on these areas, because like you're pointing out, like the refi person is very different than and like those partnerships and those value propositions are like very different than like even DeSci or just like your general like ad tech buyers who are going to be some of like the first people actually want to like put money down for this stuff. So like is that making sense, or how does that make you, how's that
yeah, I think I might have like misunderstood the assignment, and like because my proposal was a completely different scope, and I don't think it fits with your vision of Republic, so I don't think that would work. What could still be possible is about using a staking mechanism in some refi protocol for data revenue, but we're not going to get there if we don't have a product that's driving something. And like the whole idea with like this change in product was to add some value that would try to get users growing organically, just because the app would be valuable for them. But yeah, it doesn't seems to fit quite well. So I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, sorry about
I have
that.
one quick question so far about what I'm saying. I just wanted to clarify what the kind of governance distinctions are between matters of Data Union DAO and matters of Republic DAO. I wonder, because it seems like there could be some overlap. I'm wondering what those kind of distinctions are, if there are any.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, Data Union DAO is to support like is like way more hands-on in support of like these data unions, as far as like, and jump in anytime, Emery, if I have this wrong, but like just offering like the tools, guidance, frameworks for a data union to get up and running pretty effortlessly. But then I imagine like Republic, when they are up and running, if they want to, they can be present in like the Republic ecosystem, so that Republic users can discover all these new data unions that Data Union DAO is kind of incubating and helping to get off the ground.
So then Republic DAO governance would be about what degree of exposure certain data unions or projects in this whole framework, what kind of exposure they get within the Republic kind of marketplace and ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess that would be up for debate. Because I just see it's a very like limited game to me to like focus on a specific data type. Like I'm personally not really interested in that. Like what I want is just a one place where I can go just like see what's going on with all the data that I'm generating. And so that's kind of like always been the impetus for this. But along the way, like we're going to build a lot of stuff and have already built a lot of stuff that, you know, since it's open source, doesn't need to be rebuilt. Happy to like share it and partner with all these places. And like the roadmap of stuff that I was going to build, I can see is like, I can see other people trying to like homebrew it themselves, which is fine. But I can see that ultimately like it's going to converge on like, it would be better if there was just like, if that was just a general primitive that everybody had. So, you know, that's what the sort of stuff that I think Republic should either be building or finding and bringing in and making interoperable with everything, to kind of just reduce all the like get to each data union's like actual problem as quickly as possible and see where we can help them with infrastructure, software, like UI, UX, as long as it's like part of where as long as it's part of where Republic's going, then anyone can kind of like fork it off and take it anywhere they want for their data union stuff. So.
And one question about data unions in general, would they each have their own internal governance token, or would they use the governance token of something like Streamer? I assume they're all still built on Streamer, or is that not necessarily involved?
They can have their own governance token. It doesn't have to be any way related to the Streamer token.
I didn't see Phil or Eric who had your hand up first, but you can fight it out amongst yourselves.
Eric, you can go. We haven't heard you for some time, so go, Eric.
Let's see. Okay, I guess I wonder about just taking a shot at an analogy here to kind of maybe crystallize things for myself and maybe others, which is, so like, you know, we know things, like it seems to me like the phrase to build a message around isn't really so much data dignity, but more, in the case of Republic, it's more personal data autonomy, where, so I thinking of a comparison, like something like TaskRabbit or Fiverr, which is a marketplace where you're taking, a person is taking their time and their skills that they can, you know, give to the world and trying to, and putting that out there to monetize it. Whereas Republic is the same kind of marketplace for all your personal data. So you're like, you know, you're pulling in, the app is pulling in data, you know, from your device, and then, you know, whatever other services you're pulling in via APIs, and then offering it up to, I mean, any number. And there could be like portals, like I think you've talked about, Keith, where there's like a DeSci refi portal, like, you know, you have this bundle, and does that analogy work?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's closer to that than not. I think the specifics of it get a little weird, but I think, you know, just the UI of it might be, I imagine like just a place where you can browse like okay, I know what kind of data I have. Like I have my location data, I've got sensor data, but like, who is that of value to? And then as the generator of that data, I can go through and just see all the relevant places where I could share that and for how much and like under what license they're asking. And then I can, you know, very easily just say, yep, that one, that one, that one, and that one, or whatever. And then I'm done. Because to do that right now, you have to somehow find those 4 places that you want to contribute your data, get each of their individual apps, and then even if they have like a very good like data sharing, data ownership terms of service or whatever, it's still siloed into these 4 different places, and it's going to be a pain in the ass. Like even as somebody who probably knows how to get that out, I really don't want to spend the time to be like, oh yeah, I downloaded that app like a year ago, so they probably have like this really interesting piece of data on me for 6 months. So like, how do I go about finding that server, finding like writing that email to people to see if like my account's still active? I mean, it's just, it might not be that bad right like right now, but like the way we're heading without something like this, like it's just going to get really dumb really fast, I think. Sorry, Phil, go ahead. Oh, Eric.
I was just gonna say, actually, I was looking at the Sweatcoin dialogue on this phone right now, and it's like the dialogue that I just like constantly ignore. And so like right now, Sweatcoin is offering me a free Sonic toothbrush head as a reward. So it's like it's pretty spammy, and I have been ignoring it and forgot about it until it came up in this call.
We can do better than a Sonic toothbrush. Phil?
So, yeah, my question and thoughts I've had, because I didn't know that was your vision, like exactly, Keith. So I'm glad to know that's how you perceive like Republic in the future. I do find that there's a lot of value in that, because like right now, like I try to test the most data unions possible. So I have like 4 browser extensions, like they're all doing the same thing. There's like, so there's so many initiatives now there, and there's a lot of overlap. So I do find some value in having that place that's like showcasing like everything you can do with your data. And then that just led me to thinking like now we're providing like, let's say the person we're focusing to provide value is like that individual who's like using our app and who gets to collect and monetize data. That's like the person we're focusing to provide value to. But then now that we're kind of like thinking about shifting, like focusing on refi, maybe being more of a place where we showcase other initiatives, like who do we want to provide value to in a context where like our resources are scarce? Like who do we want to focus on?
Where their resources are scarce, or
Our resources are scarce.
yeah. Yeah, well, so we can walk back from the refi DeSci thing. Like I was telling Emery, like just because I write this post or I say this thing doesn't mean that like that's what we have to do now. Especially, I mean, I made an intentional decision to open this up as a DAO and not just be like, you know, the tyrant that like just gets to do whatever he wants. And so like I see a lot of value, Emery, in like that stuff that you put together for refi. I think is something we need to think about, and I would not think about for, you know, whatever it is that we're doing next. So like we really need that kind of thinking. And if nobody's energized by like the refi thing, then we can focus on somewhere else. I view myself as a pragmatist above all, and the part of the reason for refi and DeSci focus was the coming together of my personal interests, what it seemed to be like an audience interest, you know, this hashtag of like refi summer coming along, and also because the mission and vision is so broad for Republic, that this would be like a good first kind of place to focus, but not in the sense of like tailoring the product to that, but just highlighting those use cases, finding those partners, and really making sure that people know that Republic is like a crucial tool that all these projects can probably make use of, and that we're open source and we're just trying to be like a community player. So that was kind of the thinking behind that. But if that doesn't jive with other people, and you feel turned off from like putting effort into Republic because of that focus, then like I definitely want to hear that and change directions, because that was just kind of like my personal assessment and motivation there. Emery, do you feel personally like energized by that, or would you prefer that we focus on something else?
Honestly, it's not very clear to me where Republic is headed. Initially, I thought Republic is intended to become a data union that monetizes a specific set of data. But it seems more like that you're more interested in building infrastructure or helping data unions in general. So I don't know how it fits into that. And I don't know.
I think that Republic needs to be, and it already has been, needs to be capable of building the data unions where nobody else is building them. And so I think that's the idea behind like the mobile app usage, mobile location. Like it needs to be built, and like the Republic vision can't really be realized until these things are. And so I think that is like a component of it, but I'd say that's just like a smaller, shorter term goal and something to work on, while we also think about like these larger things and use the building of data unions to abstract away the things that need to be, that like everyone would benefit from, right? So we iterate on a problem and build the thing, and then do it again and again and again, and then we take the learnings from that and make it into like a useful tool for everyone to use, and then we kind of tackle the next thing. And so I think data unions and building one and just getting people's data from their devices into some sort of repository that can be shared with the proper like permissioning and licensing and all that, like that's kind of the problem like right now that we're facing, that I definitely want to fix and build these data unions. Maybe we'll build more than just the ones that we have available on the phone, but at the same time reach out to other people who don't realize that they're basically building data unions, and then allow them to just fork the progress that Republic has made so far, and build those win-win scenarios where they get more users because they're shown, and they get maybe a little bit of free software development because we're both using the same things. And then we get, all of the benefit from their community, their advertising, all that stuff. I don't know. Is this me?
But I find it interesting, Keith, because I feel like in, let's say, the data union ecosystem, there aren't many folks who are thinking about that had their vision. Like I think everyone's thinking about like, oh well, I'm excited by this type of data, so I'm going to build a data union around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like there's tons of people doing this, but what you have in mind, there's no one doing that, which is in some way a good thing.
So I want to make sure I'm grokking too. Would you say you're bringing consumers to, like you are the conduit that brings consumers to data unions?
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
I find that's very useful. Because that's an issue
I think
now.
so too.
Yeah. Because now you like, if you're someone who's a bit curious about like data unions, like all of us before entering the space, you're like digging and digging and digging, and then one day you like hear about data union DAO or whatever, or about Swash, and then you're like, oh, there's this whole world I've never heard about. So then it would be a lot easier if there was like a, let's say maybe like one-stop shop that kind of provides you access to all of that, makes you knowledgeable. And in some way, I think this provides the education that we've been kind of discussing also in the past weeks.
Can I try to draw a metaphor too?
Yes. Metaphors are.
Okay, so I see Spencer said like a data marketplace. Eric and Jenny had both mentioned like a data marketplace. Ocean Protocol has a data marketplace, which people can upload their data, and then anybody else who needs the data can use that data, and then the people that uploaded the data can get paid for it. And it's just this big, like you said, repository. I feel like Republic may take this a step further, just like Ethereum is the worldwide computer, and it is a decentralized computer operating system that you can build on top of. You can build things like Aave, synthetics, other types of, all different types of dApps, decentralized applications, or you can make another blockchain, Ethereum virtual machine, compatible to work alongside, not on top of Ethereum. So are you saying that Republic is kind of like an Ethereum in a way, in which somebody could build a specific data union or application on top of Republic specifically to work with Republic, or somebody who builds something separate could work alongside of Republic and be compatible with Republic?
Yeah, I think the Ethereum analogy is kind of telegraphs, I think, the scope and like the universality of what I think we need. I don't really have the hubris to think that Republic is it, but I will be happy if I'm just pushing in this direction and then somebody takes the idea and then like does it better or whatever. Like, but
No, man, you got to think big. Come on. You're building the data Ethereum.
Well, I mean, there's tons of people building parts of this, right? Like there's Ceramic and Lens, and I think like Crystal was saying, and we've said with Journo DAO, it's like a yes and type situation where, like, personally, when I come across a new thing like Lens protocol or Ceramic or really anything now, it's like, oh, this is cool, but like, how am I gonna like interact with it, right? And there's so many cool things being built that, like, I think these people have maybe called them super apps in like the Web 2 world, but maybe we need like lots of Republics where it's like whatever this category of app you come across, it is like your gateway into how to take all of your data that you're generating and then push it into like the projects that you think are cool, right? So, which sounds simple, but the problem I think that a lot of people aren't seeing is just how to do that in like a really, really universal way. You're going to have to provide a lot of tooling for the user that doesn't have anything to do with having them push their data out into the world. I think you have to start with just making somebody feel comfortable with what they're generating and making them feel like they have a good idea of what that is, that they can control it. And it's like, it's a completely different feeling than like using Google or any service now, where it's like, okay, what are they taking from me just so I can do this thing? Where it's like, okay, this is what I have. Like, this is the scope of my data as an asset. And Republic is not asking anything from me at this point. Like, it doesn't care. It's trying to make me feel good about, like, I feel like I know what it is, I can see it, I can control it. And only at that point do I feel like you can reasonably expect somebody to consent to pushing that like out into the world. And so my hypothesis is that a lot of people are trying to skip to the sharing part. And they're gonna be like, yeah, free sonic toothbrush head, like you do this, and then they can say, yeah, we got all these people to consent to like sharing this step data, see, and then they do whatever they want with it, and then those people find out exactly like how that's being used later on, and they're not very excited about it. And so they got the consent early on, but was that true consent? If you really, once you find out exactly how it's used, that you really want to pull that back later on. And I feel like that's the bait and switch that a lot of places are undertaking right now, because that's where the opportunity is and that's where the short-term capital is. But and so I'm suggesting that we skip that step and get to the part where like everybody actually feels happy about sharing their stuff because they feel like it's for helping them achieve their goals. And like this app over here is like just something that helps me achieve my goal, because they're going to take my data and do the kind of climate science that I think is important, or they're going to like use my data to like cure this disease over here. And that's what matters to me. So I'm going to put it over here. And it's not like these people are like taking things from me. I'm always like, well, what's your angle? What's the catch? Like any of that stuff. But it's more like, okay, this is empowering me to achieve my goals via my data and these data unions or data apps or whatever you want to call them, rather than like they're coming to me trying to like, it's like people at the airport trying to get you to jump in their cab or whatever every time you, even if they promise that they're going to do great stuff with your data, it's still just like everybody's trying to solicit it from you, like, and and it's, how do you find like the good actors from the bad actors? And I think we need to reverse that and just make people feel like they are autonomous, they have data sovereignty, data dignity, like nothing happens to my data without me approving it. And then we can like move on to the other stuff. But like right now, the app, you can share your data if you want. So obviously I'm a pragmatist, like that's where people are, as long as we can like, whatever's bringing people in to like the message, and then it's up to us to like execute like the way things should be, I feel like, and drive policy with the product. Yeah, sorry, John, got me on a rant. Thanks for the
Hey, wait a sec, John, before you go, John, like back to the beginning of John's comment, you're already talking to Ocean Protocol, aren't you, Keith?
Yeah, so it's a yes and thing. Like you can push your data to Ocean, do all your stuff with Ocean if you want. Like that's what I'm saying, is like once you get it yourself, then you can do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, the privacy is maintained, correct? Like Ocean Protocol uses DIDs that eliminate all personal association with that data, and it's encrypted, so nobody can see that that's you. They just see the data only. And I think that's of paramount importance, is to make sure that people understand that and are comfortable with it. There's kind of a zero knowledge proof type of thing working there that is going on. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, hey, you're just giving my data to the marketplace. No, it's nobody knows that's you. Yeah.
And
all right, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah, all right, we'll let you go. But just real quick on that, like if you there could be somebody who doesn't do that stuff. No, you can go, but I'm just
all right. No, I wanted to hear, but I gotta go.
I mean, there could be somebody who's not doing that stuff, but like it would be Republic's job to show you like reputation, like licensing, like how are they going to use their data? Like, do they use, DID? Do they like do they make it private? And then you can choose if you want to share your, people can go full degen and just like share everything, and deal with the consequences, but at least they knew what they were doing.
So it also seems like you're describing a hub for personal data control and monetization, almost like a wallet in a way, or like a kind of central place where it seems like you'd be aggregating all of these opportunities to monetize certain kinds of data, and you're just kind of foregrounding like the data sovereignty aspects of it. Like these are the risks you're taking with this monetization opportunity. And it seems like you're kind of situating Republic as a general purpose data monetization opportunity aggregator with like data control and sovereignty in mind. Is that fair?
Or the other way around, like data control and sovereignty with monetization in mind.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Like you don't even have to monetize your data if you don't want. You don't have to share. You don't have to do anything. Like first comes like the sovereignty, the control, and only then do I feel like we can get, true consent as far as like the other monetization things.
And I think like to me, that's where all the actual novel technology of blockchain comes in, because now you have all these opportunities to verifiably own data. And I think that's like that the kind of switch you just pointed out. I think that clicks with me now.
Okay, cool. Phil, you've been very patient. What's it?
Oh,
Yes,
I didn't see that again. I'm sorry.
No worries. That was interesting. But Keith, I was thinking, because we have so much, like we're really interested in helping the community as a whole. Like we're not shy, like to showcase other initiatives. Like I'm curious, I think like probably like web dev is faster than app development. Like it probably would be like really fast for us to just create like a web page where we decide like, oh, like here are like our data collectives or coalitions or unions, whatever, that like fit our standards. Like, and this is like a hub for them. So like, if you're interested in sharing your data, those are like the Republic approved initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's pretty quick to build.
Well, I think that's something that Data Union DAO was talking about doing, which I think would be pretty interesting. And maybe I imagine like there's some sort of like, icon or badge or whatever that you could put like data union DAO approved or like certified organic, like whatever it is. And maybe Republic could have its own badge that like if we somehow like differ from data union DAO in some way and like we have a different qualification set. But it seems like, I don't know, data union DAO is I don't know, more involved in that conversation and has thought more about it and stuff. I'd prefer, to take somebody else's filter on that. But yeah, we can, I think by being in the Republic stores, like saying that we, approve of that this is like been audited to some degree or whatever. But I don't know. I guess the example that I just mentioned of like somebody could put something that just like has a really bad rating or whatever, but they like think that that's cool to offer, zero privacy and zero whatever to people for like a high dollar amount. And maybe some people want to take that. Eric, I'm curious to hear if from your Fiverr framework, if that's still applying, if you're around to talk at all.
I didn't catch the last section, but everything that I've heard, kind of fits with, the conception that I've had. It seems like there's maybe a 3-step thing going on where it's, collecting as much personal data as you want and importing it into the Republic ecosystem, and then step 2 is a clearinghouse of available data unions that could have use for that data. And then the step I'm a little less clear on is where the connection is made between the data unions and like the client apps or orgs or services that might actually purchase that data, like who and where the connection is being made there, I'm less clear on, like, if data unions are seeking out, you know, their own places to monetize, or if Republic helps with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the data unions would kind of have their marketing, their own community, their own whatever. And then at this point, all they would have to say is like, yeah, put me in the Republic app. And, you know, like I've talked to Unbanks about it. I've talked to different people. I guess maybe it's not clear what I'm proposing, but you know, theoretically they just be like, yeah, go for it. And then they just tell me like what data they need from the Republic user. And then like right now I would be happy to like build that integration. But then in the future, you know, I can open source those integration tools, and anyone can, you know, take that on if they have like a particular, you know, example I give sometimes. It's like, you know, just like a niche hardware device in your house that like only has like 500 people, and like the company is not going to do anything like on the user interface side or the integration side to let you access the data that it's generating. And so maybe one of those 500 users just picks up the Republic like SDK and like makes that data from the device available to anyone running the Republic app. And like, so another one of the users of that device can go on Republic, see that kind of like homemade app or whatever that integrates with it, and then you know, just click it and start integrating their whatever their like auth flow is, and then they start getting that data from the device. Because you're going to have, you know, there's this huge long tail of just like devices out there with all sorts of weird APIs and data sets and stuff. And if I don't know, it might be like lost to humanity, but I think it's worth going after some sort of ecosystem where enthusiastic people with like a niche device can do something easy to make it play with the rest of their data.
It also kind of sounds like you're describing something that's getting into like Oracle territory, right? Like decentralized Oracle networks. I don't know if that's necessarily a part of this, but if you're like trying to translate between all these other idiosyncratic APIs and then some kind of on-chain data, it seems like you'd be effectively describing oracles, right?
I'm not sure I grok oracles completely. Do you want to say more about what they are and how that would work?
I mean, my understanding is that they are ways of onboarding like off-chain data, like I guess it wouldn't just be EVM, but any kind of blockchain readable data. It's like you're kind of porting off-chain data that's someone.
Crystal's dropping off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just my understanding of it. Is all the different off-chain data, like, you know, market data and weather data and all that stuff would need some kind of technical stack to translate it to like a blockchain readable thing.
Yeah,
and then like Chainlink had like their approach of decentralized Oracle networks is like they have all these incentive mechanisms for like to ensure that real like true data is being onboarded onto a blockchain, and like it involves staking link and all that. I don't quite understand all the nuances there, but that's one approach of doing this.
Yeah, I think that could, I mean, what I'm talking about could definitely enable that, like, and oracles to be like bootstrapped very quickly, I think. And so I think it's clear there's a lot there, right? There's just a lot to do, but I don't think we should or we'll have to like do it all, or Republic will have to do it all, because there's lots of people working on this and lots of people working on this and this and this. And so I just want Republic to be in conversation with those people and have like our like immediate roadmap of like what's the thing we're in a unique position to do that's not being done, that like pushes the ball forward, that then other people can build off of. And then that's always in constant negotiation with like where other people are at. So if somebody, you know, solves like a syllable resistance in a really nice way, then you can just bring, and it's open source and everything, then we can just bring that into like the Republic stack, and then we don't have to do that anymore. And and like same for like oracles or like all this stuff, you know. And so the short-term priorities for me are really just getting that collection and control element for users, and like the education and like getting to that true consent and like the UX that's around that. And I think that Emory is probably why I'm dragging my heels on the monetization thing, because it's not, and like getting resources, because I think anytime, like if I were to take VC money to do that, I feel like it wouldn't end up in the place that it needs to. But I also don't see a way to like build revenue off of that immediately. So I kind of view this as like a building phase. And like at the end of the day, like there will be like Republic network like revenue or like DAO revenue from, you know, like anytime a transaction is made, like from your data to this data union or this data union or this data union. It's like if Republic has negotiated that, you know, onboarding or whatever, then that can be part of like the fee, kind of like a, I don't know, a partner fee or an affiliate fee or whatever it is. Like each data union is going to have its own thing. Like this data union will say like, oh, I'll pay $5 for every new user that joins, or I'll pay 1% for the lifetime of this user if they're like onboarded by you or something. And so there's definitely going to be, and there's going to be like opportunities for like premium services for like most or all the software of Republic is open source, but then businesses are going to want this thing and other people are going to want to pay for this thing. And it's kind of like the WordPress like automatic model where like the WordPress software is free, but automatic is like this very successful you know, software business based on just the consulting, hosting, tooling around WordPress. And same with like, I guess Ghost is a nonprofit, but there's tons of examples like Rocket Chat or Zulip or all these places. It just seems like a good model. Like the software is free. Oh, go ahead, Em.
Yeah, I have to jump off soon, but I had two things that I want to ask. Spencer, what organization are you from?
I know Keith from Journo DAO, but I'm also with Lobby 3 and Pub DAO.
Oh, cool. And the other thing is that like I would like to contribute to Republic DAO, but I would like to do something that's actually helpful. So I think maybe if we would have something like a contributions board where there is more specific things, then I'm happy to pick things up and contribute that way. Because like, yeah, so I think that's something I would like to see happen. And maybe what I would really like to see is, I think, more like a vision statement, so that we're all aligned on the vision of Republic, so that we can all pull on the same strings.
Okay, sorry, Emory. I feel like I bummed you out during this call.
No, I think I should have been more asking more clarifying questions in the beginning, but it was like the end of the call. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do this. See you later. So I think it's on me. Don't worry about it.
Emory, I like what you brought up. Sorry, Eric, I know you have a question, but I think so. I agree with you, Emory, because I was going to say the exact same thing. I think we had to figure out our vision and consolidate our vision, and then I feel like this will excite people to join us.
Awesome, Eric.
So I was just going to suggest, you know, what if as kind of what if you were to build a simple product, and it could be a web app like Philippe was suggesting, and it's simply just like I mean, you basically already have it built in the mobile app where you there's a web app where people can go and they can sign up, and they can connect their whatever data sources through like whatever APIs or their phones or whatever, and then the web app just basically visualizes all the data that is already being collected on them that they could potentially contribute to a data union DAO, or to a data union, and then the action is just like if you want to learn more, download the mobile app and sign up for our newsletter, and just keep up with. So just kind of like an educational and awareness thing that I think would be entertaining, and I think would help people get the concept.
Yeah, I like that idea. I don't know if there's a way to do that simply or easily, but even in I know it seems like, oh, bye Amber, thank you so much. I know it looks simple in your mind right now, probably, but that seems like a little bit of an undertaking. But I do want to like visualization.
Like 1-2 hours tops, probably.
Yeah, well, 2.5, but no, the reason I went with the mobile app first, I did have a web app at one point for this was initially conceived as like a active data collection app where somebody would describe the survey that they wanted people to answer, or like basically a form, and then that would be pushed out to people, and then they would fill out the form, and that would have like location data and stuff or whatever people wanted. But moving to like the passive collection side, it just made more sense to have like a native app where you can get some of this data, that like app usage and stuff from the phone that you can't really get from the browser. So that's on the collection side, but I think as we build out those visualizations, like if we have like a really nice map and location visualization for the mobile app, then we can take that and make it relatively easy for just like a web person to like I'm thinking like if they could authenticate like their Google account, and we could just grab all their location information and show it to them from their Google account or whatever. Just something that's already out there that isn't necessarily like within their control, but then like you're saying, as like a way to get them to like get the app or do something about it via Republic.
Keith, I want to know, I'm curious what you think about that. How would you feel about, because we have like an informal repository of like other data union projects that we keep on sending each other that we stumble upon. What would you think about making that public?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I think it would be good because it could be like some sort of like, I'd say like relationship building tool. Like it would become easier for us to create connections also with those projects just by saying like, hey, we're showcasing your stuff on our website. And then other people who are curious and who are like kind of new, or like, because Genome, for example, Genome DAO, they don't like label themselves as a data union, but there's in some way they're pretty much a data union. So like we could, that's something that we could just put on our website, say, hey, like you feel like there's all those data collectives, let's say, and then oh, you feel like sharing your genomes or like getting that information, well, there's that organization that's doing this. Oh, you want to do like your browsing data, well, there's like 4 of them. So I feel like that could be like useful in some way.
Yeah, for sure. I think you could even just do a page in Ghost, and that would be pretty easy. If you wanted to do that, Phil.
Well, let's do that.
I can definitely like contribute to it, but yeah, adding another thing like that to my brain pile feels stressful.
I think I'll do it. Yeah, it'll be useful.
Or at least like put it on the list of things that we can do eventually, and maybe I'll have some time to do it later. What do you think, Spencer? You consider yourself a member of Republic DAO now?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think this
Politics.
session actually gave me a clear idea of what's going on before. Because I think before I thought it was more about, I thought it was more like a governance platform. That was the kind of the vague sense I had about it. But now I see it more in the vein of data sovereignty and control with monetization as the kind of secondary thought there.
Yeah, well, the governance, you're talking about the voting app.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I think that has relations that, like, you know, anyone could use that, but then also it was just something that I think Republic needed that wasn't out there, as well as, like, you know, Journo DAO and Factland. So I went ahead and developed it under the Republic heading, just because it was, like, I don't know, a nice place to put it, and it didn't make sense for Journo DAO to own it or Factland to own it, and Republic's more of like a generalized like software ecosystem. So but if you think about it, like having something like a global data utility, like if it's going to be truly like user owned and operated, it has to have like a really nice governance structure. And I felt like all the ones out there just weren't really any ones that I would want to saddle Republic with. And so that's kind of where that came from. So that's kind of be like one of our homegrown products that hopefully like other people will use, but it's definitely intended to be like the thing that governs the DAO as it, you know, properly decentralizes.
So a few birds with one stone as well.
Yeah. That's kind of a theme for me. Might be getting where it's just like, oh yeah, we can use this over here, and then everybody needs this, so let's build that, and then everybody can. It's like, why work on one thing for one person when you can build something?
And it's just all this kind of redundancy, you know, inventing the same thing.
And there is a lot of redundancy. That's what I'm starting to notice, Keith. Like I've said in the call previously, I find it's okay. It's nice that there's many like people like working on the same types of data, but there's starting to be like a considerable amount like of overlap. Like there's like for the web browser, like you would, I don't need 4 browser extensions to monetize my data and collect my data. Like one would be fine.
Yeah, and not only need it, but you don't want to have to be worried about like updating 4 different apps now, and then what happens if that one goes out of business, or this one like gets bought by some company, and now all this data that they said that was fine, that you felt okay about, is going to be used in all these weird ways. And it's just like, it's no bueno. I'd like to build a world where like that doesn't have to be the case.
And also if something like Republic doesn't come along and bundle all of these opportunities with data sovereignty and data control in mind, then someone else is going to come along and monopolize it without those things in mind. You know, it seems almost inevitable.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what Facebook and Google are arguably trying to do and always have been trying to do, but I think they've just hit this stumbling block that they didn't anticipate, where like the trade-off of convenience would not be universal enough to get them to like the kind of universal data set that they need and want. It's like at some point you actually have to consider the agency and the desires of the people that you're siphoning data off of, or else you can only go so far with like trickery and exploitation, you know. And I think they're right at those limits of how far you can go, and now they're just like doing all these perverted things to like just get an extra like inch of your data here and there, while everybody is kind of like, whoa, this is getting really creepy, and I'm starting to understand what's going on here, and they're distancing themselves. And so I think they're going to get pretty desperate pretty fast. But like the only good way to do that is like if you're actually on the side of the users, right? It's like if I'm actually here to like make you money and not manipulate your goals into what my agenda is, but just help you, like whatever your pre-existing agenda is for yourself, your life, your data, like this helps you achieve that in the ways that you use it. And that, yeah, go ahead.
And that approach, like you said earlier, is much less tenable when you have VCs involved, I would imagine, even for something like this, because there has to be some ask, because otherwise, it's grants like Gitcoin. I mean, don't you already have Republic on Gitcoin or no?
Republic's been on Gitcoin. Yeah. Not to it's like not even $1,000, I think, that's come in, but which is fine. I'm just yeah, I've gone through great pains to engineer my life where I can like work on this without those like impeding pressures. And so yeah, and I've been offered to be like put in meetings and stuff, and it's maybe there's some genius way that I could have like threaded the needle, but in my mind, like even if I come across a new app that seems great and is saying all the right things, like if I scroll down the page and see like the investor list or whatever and figure out that they have like a $2 million runway or something like that, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's early days. You're like in the honeymoon period where you can just say like you'll do whatever users want, but then when investors come knocking or whatever, and like you're already like addicted to VC money, so you need to go for the next round and the next round. So like unless there's a sustainable way to bring in revenue and grant funding for Republic, I just am not. There is profit to be here somehow, but I'm not gonna like try and convince somebody that they're going to get a return on their investment. So
I mean, I would say Gitcoin and maybe other similar things is probably the best route that I could think of.
Yeah,
I think it's
eventually,
the way to go, Keith. Yeah, respect. I love what you're doing, Keith. Like, not many people are willing to stick to their principles, and I love that. Because also, same like I have the same, I guess, instinct as you. Like someone who's an outsider and looks at a project that's trying to help people, and then our goal is genuinely like to help people with their data, and then you see that there's VC funding, like an outsider, like someone who's kind of aware of how incentives work in life might be skeptical. Then by removing the VC money, then it's just removing doubt.
Yeah, and also just why would you want to team up with somebody whose the relationship is predicated on you making them money? Like if they want to give us money because they think the mission is awesome, they want to support the mission and whatever, that's a totally different relationship than like, yeah, I think your mission is like very hip right now. Like I can totally market that. Like you're going to hit this audience and you're going to get this amount of users. And then I'm going to get some payback eventually. And it's like, then every discussion you have with that person is going to be oriented around like, well, how quick are you to like getting my money? Like, and I mean, even if like they feel like that's a secondary motivation for them, I mean, that's always what it's based on. So it's like, I think those foundational relationships are important.
I mean, it seems like what you're describing, there could still be opportunities for certain, I don't know, maybe certain fees or certain premium offerings that don't involve exploiting data, but just maybe involve like gating access to certain features. Maybe that's some way that you can generate enough profit to pay off any early investments. But then again, like if they want more than just a return on investment, if they want like a stake in how the platform works, then the vision could be compromised. And it seems like that's what you're focused on here. Yeah.
Well, for example, like, okay, if we provide the software that allows everyone to create like an entire encrypted archive of their data, like for their entire life, and that needs to be stored somewhere. Like we can provide, you know, we can let them store it anywhere. They can take it with them. They can go anywhere, but that would be a situation where Republic is in a unique position to know exactly like what kind of data that is and provide like an optimized like storage solution where like these other places are just kind of like generalized. So it's like, yeah, you could have put it there, but actually, you know, we're cheaper and faster because we optimize for it. And if you want to pay us, you can pay us, whatever. And it's more of like an opt-in revenue where it's like, okay, well, this takes us a lot more development time. Like this feature takes, we got to pay developers. So it's going to be a premium feature, but it's not going to be part of like the core software or whatever. And the software doesn't change. The software improves, you know, because of all these for-profit features, and they're all folded back into the software, but they're just kind of like these convenience things that eventually people are going to want to pay for, like speed and convenience and or like better prices or whatever it is. So it's like
Yeah,
not trapping users into doing it, but like competing with other vendors on features for your own software. Well, thanks for hanging around so long. I think I imagine it's exhausting listening to me, but I'm also kind of at the end of my talking for the entire weekend. Probably I won't say anything else.
Well,
Spencer, thanks for joining.
Ahead.
I just said thank you for joining, Spencer. It's nice to have a new face.
Yeah, it was nice to learn more about what Republic's about. I realized I didn't really have an accurate understanding before this.
Yeah, if you can help us consolidate what you learned here down to something that I always struggle to like, I mean, Phil didn't even, I think, grasp the sort of vision that I was ranting about before, and we've been talking about it for weeks. So I just like, I don't know how to get it out there.
I mean, it seems like this gave me a sense of what on like the highest level you're trying to achieve here, and it seems like there's still like a sort of product market fit you're looking for in terms of what isn't being done by other people. If they're like, if other people are doing kind of open source solutions, it seems like there's still a lot of considerations that need to be built, and the whole space is moving so quickly. So it's, you know, I see why you don't want to just like prematurely or impulsively decide on one thing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm glad that connected.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you. We'll see each other. Well, Spencer, feel free to join us next week.
Yeah, please do if you can.
Sure.
Keith,
Yeah.
see
Thanks,
you
guys,
in the Discord DMs.
All right. Cool. All right. Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye.
Bye.